He kōna I purangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Ti he wa mauri ora ki te whaiau, ki te taiau, ki te maramaki au, we ti he wa mauri ora. Ko Māpuna tēnei, e mihi atu ana. And it's the podcast for Māpuna. Welcome back. Thank you again for listening. Now, this is our penultimate episode of Māpuna for 2024, and perhaps forever. Who knows? The bosses will let me know one day, maybe. But it's our penultimate episode. And as we start to wrap up, we're getting a little bit reflective on the year, but it's also an opportunity to talk to someone who is a little bit of a hero. Why? Because, well, she's a rugby player, and it's not just about the fact that she plays rugby, but she's impressive. Our guest is Sarah Hirini, who is a Black Ferns captain, has won Olympic Games medals, 2 gold medals, plus a silver in 2016. She probably won't want to talk too much about that. Because it still hurts, I think. Lessened by winning 2 golds in 2020 and 2024. A Commonwealth Games gold medalist, I think twice, and 15's World Cup. I mean, who can forget 2023, the Women's World Cup, and that final, the semi-final, and the final, France and then England in the final. So her CV is pretty impressive. But she's also, now I didn't know this, but she's also the sister of a sheep shearing world record holder and has sheared 300 sheep in one day herself, brought up on a farm. Just out of Fielding, went to Fielding High School, boarded there, went to Massey University, learned to do a Māori. So we're going to talk about her life, and in particular, how she dealt with a horrific injury at the beginning of the Sevens season in 2024 in Dubai, where something popped and she immediately thought her Commonwealth Games dream was over. 7 months later, she wins a gold medal. It's an amazing story. This is the story. This is Sarah Hirini. You're listening to Māpuna. E te iwi whakarongo mai. He uri no Ngāti Kahungunu. The one and only Sarah Hirini joins me now. Sarah, tēnā koe.
Morning, Julian. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Are you fresh off the plane? I just watched you in Cape Town 2 days ago, I think it felt like.
Yeah, we arrived back on Wednesday night, so still pretty jet lagged, but happy to be home.
Now, home is where again, Sarah? Is it Tauranga?
Yeah, in Papamoa.
In Papamoa. Okay. Mm-hmm. Can I... Because you play for the Hurricanes Paua. So does you being in Papamoa mean that you're not turning to those dirty Chiefs, are you? You're still going to play for... Are you? I just want to... Because, I can't help myself. So,
Nah. Yeah, I'm still Manawatu born and bred, and still would represent the Hurricanes Paua if I had the opportunity to. But obviously Sevens has led me up here to the Bay of Plenty and have classed Papamoa as my home for the last it's about 10 years now. But I think my rugby alliance is still back down where I'm from.
Oh, look, that's Christmas for me. That's all I needed to know. We can literally finish the interview now. My producers are Blues fans, so, you can't... I had to clear this up with them earlier, so you've made my Christmas. Thank you. Papamoa, why? Why live in Papamoa?
I think that just the opportunity to move away from home, but to go to a place where we would always go for trainings. And then, so I moved up, me and a couple of my best mates, and my husband now, but boyfriend at the time, just decided to leave our little small towns, and I don't know, just fell in love with the place. Obviously it's right by the beach, it's got great weather, we would always be here for camps, and now we're centralised here. And I think Papamoa reminds me a little bit of home. It's a small community, the neighbours all know each other, they come over and have a yarn, and that's probably what I've loved about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I spoke to a guy called Sam Tanner, who's a 1,500 metre runner. And you probably know Sam because I think you guys train at the same gym, actually. He talks about training with the Black Ferns Sevens and feeling really daunted by seeing you and others training in the gym. But it's got a really kind of, if you're an athlete, it sounds like a really good place to be.
It is a great place, and like the community are amazing, and that's probably what I've loved. Obviously leaving the Manawatu, they were great for me there, and then coming up here, and you see lots of different athletes. Obviously Sam's one of them. I see him running around the boardwalk all the time, and you're just inspired by the people who live around here, and everyone's just friendly and nice. And I don't think too many people work around here either, which is probably why everyone's so happy.
Hey, you know, work is a relative thing. Like training in the gym pretty much every day is still work, you know. But so if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind just tapping back a bit about Manawatu and your upbringing there, because you grew up in a place called Orowa Valley. Is that right?
Yeah, or at the Umatoi Valley, and we were in my parents were farmers, so we grew up on the farm. Like by the time I was probably 5, 6 years old, I knew how to run a farm with my dad, and yeah, absolutely loved my upbringing and just everything that went with it. And then we obviously then moved a little bit closer to town, and I went to Fielding High School. I boarded there as a student, and yeah, I loved my childhood and like my parents and the opportunities that they gave us. My parents went through a lot where they were very open about what we were going through at the time, and so it's given me a great perspective on life and how to be good with my money and things like that. And I don't know why, but they're still farmers now. They actually have a place in Wanganui, and like it probably taught me a lot of lessons around work ethic. It definitely steered me away from wanting to be a farmer, and probably why I chose rugby and why I live not close to the farm anymore.
Really, it put you right off farming.
I know, it actually did. I don't know, my brother wants to be a farmer, so he'll probably take over the family farm, but yeah, me and my sister became an accountant, and obviously I became a rugby player, so we kind of went pretty far away from what we got brought up in.
But also, did you say you boarded at Fielding High?
Yeah. So I went to boarding school, and my mum was just pretty keen for us to go there, give us an opportunity to play as much sport as we could, and knew that that was an avenue that we would be able to do good in school. And I think that was probably the key point or pivotal point in our lives. To my sister obviously became an accountant, and me a rugby player, and there was just so many opportunities by doing that. And I know at the time that was pretty tough for them, especially when farming was not so great, but that's why my parents are always big for me, and they've just always pushed us to just live a better life. And yeah, I'm super, super grateful for that.
I was going to say it would have taken a lot of resource to get you both boarding, right? Because boarding school, it's pretty expensive. Costs are high, you know.
Yeah, well, I think we applied for every possible scholarship that we could get, and I think that's probably why I didn't want to be a farmer. I knew we didn't have holidays, weekends. We worked tirelessly with my parents. Every time chance we got, we had to go home and help out, and like we didn't get anything for it, and they just kept telling us, this is why you're going to boarding school, this is why we're giving you these opportunities. So we just had to help out, and that was just what it was like. It wasn't like my other boarding school mates who were going on holiday. And so we just went home and worked. And to be honest, at the time I hated it. I absolutely resented what my parents were doing, but now I look back and think, geez, we were so lucky. We got taught every lesson under the sun. So yeah, I
can kind of relate, not to your professional rugby career, but having to go to a boarding school. And then I went to a school called Te Aute, not that Eustace Hotopalda school close to Fearing. But it's a farming school, so if you couldn't go home for the holidays just because of costs, you had to stay and work on the farm. Man, it was hard work, sharing sheds and all that. Because you learned to share, didn't you?
Yeah. My parents were big on sheep shearing. My dad was a national champion back in the day, and my mum was she got second in the world one year. So we grew up a lot of the weekends traveling around, following my mum around, and we learnt. And that was how me and my sister brought our first home, was sharing in the weekends and going out and trying to make a living that way.
Oh my gosh, I've got the utmost respect for you and your sister, because so I was a sheepo. No, I'm being honest. I got a little, wooden handle thing with a ring and those abacus things, those steel abacus things.
Yeah.
And that was my job, was to, ring that so that the sheep would get in. So, I was way down the rudder from where you were, but I've got a lot of respect for sheep shearers, because that is tough mahi, man. It's tough.
Oh, I look at them, like my brother's actually doing it full time at the moment. He did a world record a year and a bit ago, and just watching them and what they go through. But we as kids learned pretty quickly that if you did that, then you were going to make more money doing anything else in the wool shed. So that's probably why we chose to do it that way. And my dad was pretty good, so he had a pretty good teacher.
It obviously takes a lot of strength and everything. Well, can I just check something? Is Simon your brother?
Yeah, Simon Goss.
Oh, far out. So he has a world record, doesn't he? 1,410? Is that right?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, he's
Oh,
got the
far
two-stand
out.
strong world record. Yeah.
I didn't even get, I mean, I know you're a goss, but I didn't even connect the two. Wow, that's amazing. So, I'm Coast Relations with, actually, you might know them because they always used to Golden Shears all the time. The Te Whata whānau from up
Yeah, of
north.
course.
Hakupa Te Whata, those
Yeah,
ones. So
yeah.
those are all my relations.
Mm.
God, they're probably embarrassed now because I've just told everyone I'm a sheepo. But anyway, but that lifestyle, right? It lends itself actually to doing something really physical, i.e., leading itself to a professional rugby career. Not that you were thinking about that at the time, but do you think there was some kind of unconscious things that your parents were doing by exposing you to that kind of mahi, that it trains you, all that kind of muscle memory thing about using your body in a certain way? Sharing is one of the hardest things you can do, and so it leads you to kind of doing tough physical mahi, yeah?
Oh, completely. I think physically, I learned a lot in the woolshed, and obviously, I think too individually, you're by yourself most of the time, so everything is about you. And we did shows as well, so I learned a lot about handling pressure and having to deal with you being your like relying on yourself. And I think that helped a lot when I went into a team sport. Is like I really wanted to give everything I could individually, but then it's nice being able to sometimes rely on your teammates, and especially when you've got some of the best players in the world around you. But it's been, yeah, obviously look back at that time, and sometimes I hated it, but have really loved the resilience and the work ethic that I was able to gain through my time in this shearing shed.
I will move on, but I just wanted to know, how many sheep could you shear in a day?
I actually did my 300 one year
What?
on lambs. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you are, well, you're already a legend, but and hey, people will be going, what are you doing, Julian? We're talking about sheep shearing with Sarah Hirini, but 300 a day is like, that's massive. That is unbelievable. Wow. Where did the rugby come about? How did that happen?
It was at Fielding High School when I went to, I was at boarding school there, and as a year nine, I was picking up as many sports as I could. Obviously, I was staying in the weekends because we were living there, and my friends were going along to a rugby training session, and I thought, oh, my mates are going, so I want to go hang out with them for the afternoon. And then just fell in love with it. And I think more so just the people. Like we had a cool coach, Rob Jones. Him and his wife had taken over the program. They were teachers at the school, and but then just the girls were so welcoming, and it was from the ages of 13 to 18. But I don't know, it was just the place that I felt like I belonged. I could be myself, and that's exactly why I've carried on ever since then. And yeah, I was like, it's been, I think that's probably been the one message that I've always given to people is like rugby is one place where you feel like you can be yourself. Mm.
Was it pretty clear in your mind when leaving school that rugby was going to be something that you were going to do pretty hard out? That's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, once I left school, and it was pretty hard. Like obviously, then I had played for the Aotearoa Māori Women's Sevens team a couple of times in Rome. Had that opportunity to travel over there, and I think since then it was like, if I can do this for a living, I'm going to have an amazing life, and I'm going to love what I'm doing. And there wasn't really much else I wanted to put my mind to. My parents were pretty keen on me just getting a job, but then I got a scholarship to go to Massey University, and it meant that I could still play footy and hang out with my friends. And then it was probably so I would have been year 13 in the 2010 Rugby World Cup, and I watched the team win another 15s World Cup, and like that game changed my life. I think I got up in the early hours with my mum and watched them beat England, and I said to my mum, that's what I want to do. I want to become a professional rugby player. And she was like, that's awesome, but you don't get paid to play rugby, or especially women's rugby. And I was like, nah, I'm going to make it. And that's kind of where my passion grew, and I just kind of gave everything I could. I was at university, but kind of just floating along with my degree, and every chance I got, I would try and train or work as hard as I could to try and make the Manawatu team, which I knew would then hopefully lead into the Black Ferns. And yeah, obviously it happened from that.
That 2010 team was a pretty legendary team too, as well. Hey, Renee Wycliffe
Oh,
and
right.
Justine Lavere, Lindy Tunu, Carla Hoy, Patricina. Were they the ones that you wanted to be? Were they the ones that were kind of like, in your mind, were they the trendsetters, the ones who kind of opened the pathway for you to go, right, I want to be as good as those players?
100%. I wanted to be them. I wanted to be in the same room as them. Like, I would have given anything to just meet those girls. They were so inspiring of what they were doing, and I knew they weren't full time, and they were turning up sometimes off their own bat to try and make it. And then for them just to win the World Cup the way that they did, I could say I was a massive fangirl of them. And now it's pretty crazy that I played alongside a lot of them, and she's even Kelly Brazier, who was in that team, is now one of my best mates, which is it's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, that's right, Kelly Brazier, that's right. Wow. Yeah, I forgot about that. Jeepers creepers. By the way, talking about Massey, you did a Bachelor of Arts, right? And Sports Science at Massey, but a Bachelor of Arts in Māori Studies?
Yeah. So majored in sports science and minored in Māori studies,
How
which was pretty
how
crazy,
was
I
it?
think. It was bloody tough, to be honest.
Why?
I
Why
wasn't
was it so
the
tough?
best. I wasn't the best of studiers. I kind of was just doing it just to tick a box, which probably isn't what people want to hear, but like, it was just something to do. It meant that I could get some money on the side to live my rugby dream. But yeah, it was, and then once I started, like, I was too stubborn to stop. So it took me 8 years to get my 3-year degree. But I did it because I thought, well, I didn't really grow up in a Māori household. I didn't do Māori high school. So I thought, oh, stuff it, I'll do Māori at university, which was an absolutely crazy idea. And then I enjoyed sports, so I thought, well, that would be quite cool. So a lot of my papers when I got to third year, were like full immersion. There was politics papers in Māori, and I loved it, and I learned so much. But probably wouldn't advise doing the degree in Māori if you've got no upbringing in it, didn't speak the language, wasn't around people who were speaking Te Reo. So I was like, Jesus. But I got it done my degree, and yeah, I can't even say I've got the certificate because I haven't even got it sent to me. I was so useless.
Oh, man. Well, luckily you can get it sent to you. Hey, I know someone who used to be a Black Ferns captain who might be able to help you in that regard. I'm pretty sure she's a
Yeah.
professor at Massey somewhere, who did a bit of Māori studies herself. But, did you say it took you 8 years?
Yeah. So I did my first year full time, and then got picked up at the end of my first year of uni into the Ferns Sevens team. And so just obviously had to change my lifestyle, move to the Mount, would do maybe 1 to 2 papers a semester. And yeah, it took me a long time. But I'm glad I stuck at it. I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, and look, the other thing about learning a language, and in particular Te Reo, is that it's a lot easier if you can do it in a collective, right? And if you're doing it, say, by correspondence or anything else, man, it's hard because it's not really an individual process. Is there an interest in one day potentially trying to do a full immersion course and becoming
Yeah,
fluent?
definitely. I would love to. And now that I've got a niece and nephew, like my nephew's speaks Te Reo full time now. He's at Kohanga Reo. My niece is in a bilingual unit at school, and like, they only speak back to me in Māori sometimes. And I kind of wish that I'd carried it on, but I think for them, I would love to do a full immersion course, and then obviously then we could all speak it at home.
Can't pay. Well, I wish you luck with that. And I know you've been pretty busy, and hey, people come around to it, so it'll happen. It'll happen one day. You said that at that time was when you got your first Sevens contract. Do you mind if I ask you how much that was worth at the time?
Yeah, it was $30,000 for the year. So I thought I was absolutely the most rich person I've ever met.
Rolling.
I was so happy. I was like,
You thought
this
you were
is
rolling in it.
this is the best thing I've ever seen.
Well, that's okay, so. Yeah, walking around the mountain going, let it rain.
To be honest, I was happy back in the day with a free pair of boots and a t-shirt. I thought then I was the richest person. So when I was starting to get money for it, I was like, this is crazy. Why are they paying me to do this? I love it.
Did you know you were good then, though, Sarah?
Nah.
Come on, be honest.
I knew that I worked really hard, and I knew that I would outwork any person that I met. Like, and that's probably why I wanted to do it. Like, I would get up early. Back then I was an absolute nerd. I had my goals all over my wall. I would get up and pass a rugby ball into the couch outside 100 times a day. So I knew I would work hard enough to make it, but naturally, definitely not. I was fit, but I was not fast. I wasn't really coordinated. I've watched these girls do these outrageous things, stepping and things like that, but I knew I didn't have that. So I was like, well, if I can work harder than them, then surely I'll come close to at least making it. Like, that's kind of how I thought, and that's probably what drives me today. Like, I'm not the most talented, but I'll outwork anyone that I meet.
I think it's weird that someone like you says that you're not the most talented. I know what you mean, right? I think I know what you mean, and that, sidesteppers and sprinters and, all that kind of stuff. I mean, look at that American team. They've got fast sprinters in that team. When you say I'm not the most talented, what I think I see, and hey, I'm not a tohunga, so I'm just someone who's a big fan and watches heroes like you, who are people who are actually heroes for me and for my daughter, by the way. And I'll get to the Rugby World Cup in time. But what I see is someone whose talent is, work ethic and all that kind of stuff, but can read a game really well, knows where to be, knows where to put people, all that kind of stuff. That's talent, Sarah.
I appreciate that. And I kind of had to learn that role. And obviously, everyone wants to be the superstar with their name everywhere. But I think I learned quite early on that I could do my job really, really well by putting other people into space. And like my position is called a creator, and I think I do that really well. I love to create for other people, and I love being able to feed some of our superstars on the edge the ball and let them do their thing. And like that brings me so much joy. So I love what I do. I'm pretty happy with where I'm sitting on the field at the moment.
Yeah,
I don't want to have to do the big long sprints or things that other people do. I'm like, no, that's not my thing.
Yeah, here you go, Portia. There you go. Michaela, here you go.
It works.
Yeah, and I get that but the other thing is, and it seems apparent, I think, potentially to most people, is that you actually can't have 7 Portia Woodmans in one team. You actually can't have 7 Michaela Blydes in one team. You actually can't have 7 Stacey Walkers. You kind of have to have a mix of talent, or is that just me just talking out of a hole in my head? But you need different types. People talk about diversity in leadership teams and things like that, because if you have diversity, you get a much more breadth and depth and width that allows for greater team collaboration,
That's exactly it. And I think that's why our team's been so successful for a very long time, is we've got completely different people, athletes, humans, even people who play the same position are completely different. And then, I've loved it about us. We're so diverse. We change the game just with the people that we've got, and then we just try new things. And I think we've got a really cool balance, even now with some of our greats who have moved on. There's these young kids who play the same position as them but do completely different things. And it's a pretty cool space to be in. And obviously why our team's so talented is because we've just got freak athletes, freak humans who come in and bring their own spin on certain stuff. And it's been a pretty cool team to be a part of and watch people grow and come into their own.
But so how does it work though? Because you are all different. How do you make it gel?
I think there's just a common purpose and goal, and that's changed over the years, and it does alter with different cycles. But initially, it was probably all more about winning a gold medal at the Olympics, and we at the time it felt like we'd failed that dream, and then we kind of went into actually if we can have a really close knit, connected team who the purpose is about leaving mana, then that's bigger than just winning a gold medal. And then we obviously achieved that, and then it kind of more turned into like being great people and Black Ferns Sevens 24/7. And I think that's a cool part about our team, is that we love what we do. We are highly competitive, but that comes with that success comes because we want to work hard and we want to be good people off it. And I think sometimes it's tough because in a group that you want to be really connected with, but you also want to be really competitive against, sometimes that balance gets a little bit mixed. Like at the end of the day, we just all love playing code, and we all just want to put our best foot forward about making the team and making that team successful.
Yeah, but let's be honest, 2016 Rio Sevens sucked.
sucked. Absolutely. I still look at the medal, I'm like, ugh.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I talked to Portia about this about a month ago. I'm looking at my producer about a month ago, and she said the same thing. It sucked.
Like, I've definitely felt like I've taken the monkey off my back now from winning in 2020, but yeah, even looking back, I still hate watching that game, or people bring it up. I'm like, yeah, I'm really happy for that experience, but that sucked.
So how do you deal with that kind of thing? Now, I'm not just talking obviously about sport, because people feel the same thing in life. Things happen, you lose a job, or you go for a promotion, or you don't get a gig, or whatever it might be, right? How do you deal with that, with the trauma, and I'm assuming it is traumatic, the trauma of dealing with that, and also looking forward and trying to maintain focus to look forward?
It definitely put stuff into perspective. Like, after that loss, I had nightmares about that game, that tournament, that time for years, until we probably won in Tokyo. And like, there's 4 or 5 years, or however long we had to wait. And I don't feel like it was redemption or anything like that, but I just hate losing, and hate losing at that level, and especially against Australia. And to just do it in that kind of fashion, I would wake up in the middle of the night, and I think that's why I put so much time and effort into not allowing that feeling again, because I hated it. It was horrible. And then, but I suppose as I grew up, got older, went through actual traumatic life experiences, you kind of realize that things that happen on the field isn't as important as what you kind of, or what I would put it down to when I was a bit younger. So, like, I'm grateful for that experience. I'm also have seen different life perspectives on, like, perspective on life now. So I know that that sits in a bit of a bubble, and that, yeah, there's lots of other stuff that happened in my life that kind of put that loss into perspective as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it does. And you said that 2020 obviously helped, and we'll talk about 2024. But 2020 obviously helped. Did it also help that it was you won the gold, France won the silver, and Fiji won the bronze? This is terrible, eh? This is not professional broadcasting from me at all. But I don't kind of care, because I'm with you. Like, I'm glad Australia got dumped. But did that help? Like, seriously?
Honestly, I think the 2024 one probably helped that a little bit more. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, especially just stuff they say in the interviews you get told, and yeah, that was kind of nice when they lost that semi as well.
So let's talk about 2024. I watched the doco, and for the uninitiated, if you haven't seen the doco on Sarah Hirini, you should, because it's amazing and well done. And by the way, was that something that you wanted to do? We're talking about Relentless, the documentary. Is that something you wanted to do? Because you've got to open up for those kind of things, and that must be hard.
Yeah, like, I had talked about it with my husband, and we were going to document a few of the things that I was doing just to see. But then Kepa knew it. He works for NZR, and I've known him for a very long time. He was a good footy player back in his day. He actually rang me and approached me and said, look, I would love to do a doco on you. Not sure what it's going to look like, who's going to fund it, kind of anything, but can I start filming you tomorrow? Like, if this all works out, it's going to be a pretty cool story. And I was like, yes, straight away, because it was him, and I knew that I could trust him. I knew that at the time, if something went wrong, then he would just pull it, and just, like, that's the type of person he was. And he's very respectful about space and things like that. So I said, yep. And he came into the gym the next day. He just started filming everything. And then obviously went down to the logistics around how that was going to work, who was going to do it and things. But looking back, it would have to be one of, like, scary, because I don't normally share much of my personal side or personal life with anyone. But looking back, it was one of the best things that I ever did, to, one, mentally get over my injury pre-playing in Paris, and two, just the thought that I've had to be able to help people, not just going through injuries, but going through setbacks, and showing what actually life as a professional athlete and what people go through.
And of course, you have to talk about the injury. And for
Yeah.
the uninitiated, it was actually the opening tournament, wasn't it, of the season in Dubai? Last 30
First,
seconds? Is that right?
first tournament, second game. Yeah, yeah.
When that happened, when the pop happened, what was the first thing that went through your mind? Because I think you say in the documentary you were thinking of a couple of things, and I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Mm.
But did you immediately think, "Ah, man, it's over"?
Yeah, yeah. I thought my leg had broken in half. I was in so much pain, and then I had two thoughts: shit, my Olympics is over, and then instantly I was like, well, maybe I need to start a family. Which crazy thoughts while I'm lying on the ground screaming in pain, hoping my physio's going to run after me.
And so do you then, because coaches always talk about injuries and players talk about injuries in the immediate aftermath, and they always say we've got to get the scan and see what happens. What do you think in between the time of that and obviously, trying to recuperate in whatever way you can and dealing with the pain of it, up until the time that you get the MRI or you get the scans back from the hospital, what goes through your head?
Oh, then the pain went away, so I was like, okay, maybe this isn't so bad. And then I walk off, then go into the doctor, they're talking. And I probably should have read the signs from my physio. Like, she didn't give anything away, but just the way that my knee was kind of moving. But I don't know, I'm someone who kind of is glass half full type person. I'm like, nah, I'll be fine. Maybe I'll miss the rest of this day, or maybe I'll miss tomorrow finals day and I'll play in Cape Town the weekend after. And to me, we were going to the hospital just to, well, I thought to kind of get cleared. I then was walking around my hospital room, things like that, and I was like, actually, maybe it was just kind of been a bit of a niggle. And I was gutted, like I still was crying because I was like, shit, actually, this could be sore. But I don't know, kind of went to the positive side of thought, nah, maybe I could kind of get through this quickly. And yeah, it wasn't until the doctor came in and was like, I've got some good news. It's a complete ACL tear. And I just absolutely bawled. And I was like, well, what's the bad news? And he's like, well, you've done nothing else. And I was like, I kind of swore. I was like,
God!
what the fuck? Like, that's not great news. But now looking at it in a wider view, I'm like, actually, that was great news because I've seen other people do their ACLs and have done PCL, MCL
Yeah.
at the same time, and that's way different, way longer recovery time. So I see what he was doing there. I'm trying to keep positive, but yeah, I kind of could have thrown something at him at the time, to be honest.
That reminds me of the doctor on Arrested Development when his family goes, what's the prognosis? And he said, he's all right. What do you mean he's all right? He's all right. Yeah, no, he's lost his left hand. He's only going to be right. It reminds me of that. But of course, doctors kind of have to be unemotive, right? And so when they give you that prognosis, and as you say, certain things go through your head. Did you think it was over? That was Olympics dream gone?
Yeah, yeah. And at that time, I was like, holy heck! I've seen, like, my husband went through the same injury, and he's still got niggles in his knee, and that's been like 3 years. So, I've seen my sister, I've seen heaps of teammates go through it, and I'm like, that's a minimum 9 to 12 months, and I had 7 or 7.5 or something like that. So I was just cried, and all I wanted to do was see my husband, and I was lucky that he was over in Dubai at the time, and then just get home, like get home to my own bed, get home to my family, and yeah.
And the farewell from the
that,
team. I mean, there was that haka from the team as well, which would have been emotional.
yeah, that was a pretty special moment, horrible but special, and super grateful for them and like the support that they'd given me. But I knew that was the reality. They were leaving to go to another tournament, and I was going home in a wheelchair and going to get scans to see a surgeon to see whether it was a potential to carry on, or actually no, I was going to miss a whole season.
I still don't know how you did it. Do you know how you did it? How you made it back? I was watching the Olympics, and because obviously I knew you made the team because there was the announcement of the squad. But when you ran out for the first game, I still couldn't quite believe it. I was going, how did she do this?
I think sometimes I'm still like, how the hell did that happen? And then other times I look back at what I'd done during that time and I'm like, nah, I did everything I possibly could. And I had the best support that I could ever have dreamed of in my corner, giving me their time. So I knew I'd done what I could to get back to that point. And I think it probably set me up for the next couple of years of my career. Like, I think I'm in better nick than what I was pre-injury, and because of one, the physio Peter, and too, just other really, really good people around me who wanted to help.
Really? You really believe that? Is that why you've recommitted to 2026? with New Zealand?
Yeah, a part of that was missing the whole season, but I was like, actually, I'm in still good nick. I still can move fast, and I can keep up with these young kids who have still got on our team. So I was like, well, I don't want to miss the opportunity to play for my country. It's a long time retired. That's what people keep telling me.
Yeah, and how important though, because when you talk about generational talent, right, and Portia's doing other things in Japan at the moment, but you still got people like Stacey Waka, Michaela Blythe we've talked about, Georgia Miller, she's amazing. Jasmine Felix Hotham, Reese Pody Lane, Elena Saley, and them. So you've still got a whole bunch of How do we generate all these great players, Sarah? I don't know how we do it. How do we do it?
I know, I've been looking back at some of the people I've got to play alongside, and then obviously still get to play alongside, and I'm like, geez, I was lucky. There's people, names you've mentioned just now, and I'm going to get to tell my kids, my grandkids, that I got to play alongside those people, and some will call my best mates, and it's actually nuts. And like, we obviously took a couple of young girls over to Dubai, Cape Town, and there's people in other teams, and they're like, where do you find these people? Why are they so good? How do you get these other girls? And I'm like, I don't know. New Zealand just breeds talent, breeds good rugby players and people who are highly competitive, and I think sometimes just freaks, which I say that in a good way.
Yeah, no, and I understand when you say that. I think one of the other really important things, though, is your leadership, because you are seen as a leader in the team. Some might pejoratively suggest that you're a fire in the team, because as you refer to them as young kids, but you are a leader. You are a leader in that team, and I've heard people talk about your leadership style. But how would you describe your own leadership style?
Yeah, I probably try and lead through my actions. First and foremost is, for me, being a leader, I want to be the first name put down on the team sheet, because I've done everything I can to get there. And then I love the leadership space. I love feeling the pressure of having to make big calls and big moments, and when you've got 2 seconds to make a decision, and then I love being able to guide other people and put them into space. So yeah, it's been challenging though, and I think probably more so challenging being a leader off the field and having to step into a space where you have to be super honest with people. You have to say things that might feel uncomfortable at the time, but might put the team first. And I think that type of leadership I've grown into, and I think also has helped me with relationships off the field and with my family and my husband, and being able to adapt to new communication styles with different people. And it's been like, I'm so fortunate that I've been able to learn and grow as a leader, and I think that's probably going to help me more so when I leave rugby than what it has been when I've been able to do in rugby.
Yeah, because it appears to me that even if you're the captain or not, you're still seen as a leader. I mean, that 2023 Women's Rugby World Cup, I took my daughter to the semi-final and the final. both flipping awesome games, by the way. Wow. But what massive occasions too, at Eden Park. And she mentioned to me, she goes, because she pointed her finger at you, and I go, yeah, that's Sarah Hirini, and she goes, oh, is she the captain? I said, no, but she kind of noticed something, right? So leadership isn't just about being the captain, right? It's also about the way in which you conduct yourself and hold yourself in those situations. And there's one situation, if you don't mind me picking up on, I wanted to mention, because we talked about leadership as a player. But during the gold medal game in 2024, in the Sevens final against Canada, again, what a game. Canada! Yeah, wow. And of course, America tipping over Australia in the third and fourth playoff. But anyway, in that game, you suffered multiple facial fractures, right? And after the knock that caused those facial fractures, you made the break, which led to the decisive try. Talk us through that.
Initially, my face, I was like, oh my goodness, this sucks. I'm in so much pain right now. And I'm pretty sure the ref thought I was lying and just taking a rest, but I had done it to that side before, so I knew instantly what had happened. And then the physio was like, you're not going to come off. I was like, no, please stop my nose from bleeding, and then I'm going to carry on. But I don't know, the break, it just kind of happened. And obviously we were stuck down in our 22 for a few phases, and then I don't know, it just kind of came out of nowhere, and I made a step, and then the field just kind of opened up, and I got to run a few meters, and then I thought, oh, actually, there's someone chasing behind me who's pretty quick. I'm not going to make it. And you could just hear the support behind me. Obviously, Tyler King, was right behind me. Stacey Walker as well. And then there's just another moment, which I don't remember at the time, but looking at the video footage, there's like 6 of us in this space where I was like, that's what summed our team and the Olympic cycle up, is when one goes, we're all going to go, and whatever happens, that was going to be the case. And yeah, I'm fortunate that we just kind of put ourselves in a good position to be able to get that try, and that was kind of this icing on the cake. But yeah, it was a pretty cool moment.
I admire your humility when you talk about, our space opened up, and I like the way you describe it, because I think it kind of illustrates the kind of person you are. Do you mind if I talk about your husband just for a little bit? Pretty impressive
Please.
fella.
Yeah.
That was my question.
Yeah, no, he is. He's obviously we've been through a hell of a lot together over the years, and he's been my right hand man. And I think there's a lot of stuff that I go through that he only sees, and just supports me in any way that he can. And having him, like he ended up going to Japan while I was doing my rehab here, and I think that was kind of cool for him to go off and do that. And then he came back and was back for the last couple of months of my rehab. But like, even when I was finding out whether I was making the team or not, he was like, come home, pick me up, I'll be in the car waiting for you, whatever happens. And then he came over for the Olympics, and I don't know, having him there and so supportive of me has been like a huge thing. And obviously owe a lot to him, the things that I've done, but I'm just grateful that I get to share those experiences, or every experience, with him.
This gig is an interesting one, because you get to talk to people like yourself who blow you away in terms of your athletic capability. But when you talk to people, you get a real true sense of what they're like and who they are. And there's a lot of humility that comes out of this kind of kōrero. And so I just want to say thank you for talking to us, and thank you for giving us time. So, but the last question I wanted to ask is, because you're back playing. When is it? Is it Perth at the end of January?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, you're not one of these people that trains on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, are you? Or are you?
Oh, I definitely will be.
Oh, see,
But
no, because
I
then
love it.
now we have to go and do something, you know?
Nah, we've got a training plan over Christmas and New Year, but training to me is fun. That's what I enjoy the most. For me, especially, like, for my mental health, and especially now, like, Connor, my husband, will be training, so we'll go out and do a workout, maybe a run or something like that. But it genuinely makes me happy, and I feel so much better when I am able to get a workout in. And sometimes it's not even about rugby; it's just about getting out, getting a sweat on, and feeling a little bit better about myself. So then I can eat more food too. So I'm happy about that.
Well, I hope to one day have the same feeling about training. One day. You've inspired me to at least reconsider the notion. Sarah, thank you. Thank you for the time. And thank you for inspiring a lot of people. Just yes, through rugby. And yes, through everything that you've done. I mean, there's not a lot of people that can say they've, World Cup 15 aside gold medal winners and Olympic champions. Wow, double Olympic champion. Wow, that must feel good, eh? And then you sit there and go, gee, Lisa Carrington. How many? She's probably forgotten how many she's won. 3 in the last Olympics? But thank you so much for giving us your time. Have a really awesome break. Tēnā koe.
No, thank you so much for opening up the space for women, for me, for rugby. I really appreciate it. And please give your daughter a big hug from me and say thank you for watching.
Oh, she will. And now I'm going to get her Hurricanes Power jersey, okay?
Yes, please do.
Thank you, Sarah. Ngā mihi nui kia koe.
Thank you, Julian.